Hello again, everyone. My name is Jason. I am an ISFP, and you are watching my ISFP journey, my YouTube channel, and I appreciate you watching. I do ask that you would please subscribe to my channel and follow along with me on my ISFP journey. And I would ask that if at the end of this video you found it useful, that you would click the like button and that you would consider sharing these videos with any other people that you know that are interested in personality type and cognitive functions and those sorts of things. So this is my third video in the cognitive function series. I did the two videos on the judging functions, one video on introverted and extroverted thinking, one video on introverted and extroverted feeling, and now it's time for the perceiving functions. So I had said in one of my introductory videos that we as human beings, we all perceive and we all make judgments about the things that we perceive and about all things really that we come in contact with or think about or that affect our lives in any way. So with the judging functions out of the way, and I do intend to do more videos in time that maybe go even more in depth, but I'm trying to keep these videos relatively short. With the judging functions out of the way, let's talk about the perceiving functions. And the first two perceiving functions that I want to talk about are introverted and extroverted sensing. Now, I'm going to start with extroverted sensing because I find it easier to discuss and to explain. So I'm going to kind of get that one out of the way, sort of. Extroverted sensing is my parent function, or you might say my auxiliary or second function. As an ISFP, extroverted sensing is a major part of my life. It's a significant part of my mental function about the what matters to me. It plays a huge role in everything that I am. So extroverted sensing, if I were to really, really oversimplify it, I might say extroverted sensing is the process by which we take in the physical world through our five senses. We see it, we hear it, we smell it, we taste it, we feel it. Not feeling like the judging functions feeling, but feeling like, touching something feeling. But that's an oversimplification. That's true. That is part of extroverted sensing. Everybody does that, right? Extroverted sensing really is, I think, more than that. Extroverted sensing is very now focused. It's very focused on the what is. It's not just taking in the external world that is outside of us, but it's prioritizing it. It's considering it to be of great significance. It's placing a high importance on not just the fact that we can take it in, but going out there and trying to take it in. Okay, so extroverted sensing is almost always aware of its surroundings. It tends to, especially if it's a very high function like your hero function or your parent function, it tends to not just be able to hear, right? Anyone who has the sense of hearing, and I'm trying to be respectful of those people who do not, because I understand that any of our senses can be dulled or lost, but it goes beyond just I can hear something to, because extroverted sensing is such a priority in my brain, because it plays such a significant role in my function stack, it's not just that I can hear everything, it's that I do. In fact, I almost can't not hear everything. It's not just that I can see everything, it's that I can see it in such a, I don't want to say a clarity, because that would almost imply that people with low extroverted sensing look at everything in a haze or in a blur. And I don't think that's the case, although I can't see through the eyes of someone else. But it's more like it's such a constant experience. I'm always on the lookout for what I can see, or for interesting sounds, or just for all sounds, whether I like them or not. I notice all of the smells, and again, I understand that people without high extroverted sensing can do that too. But from my own experience with extroverted sensing as my parent function, it looks like I got something there on my shirt. Not sure what that was. There you go. That was a total accident. And that's a good example. That was extroverted sensing. there was some little tiny thing right there, and I noticed it. Now, anybody can notice it, right? Like anybody, no matter what personality type you are who are making these videos, if you're making a video and you see something like that, anybody could notice it. But for me, once I saw it, there was no way to unsee it. I had to deal with it, okay? It was going to drive me crazy if I didn't. Not that I thought about that, but I just know myself, and it would have totally driven me crazy if I'd have just left that there, okay? So extroverted sensing is constantly aware of its surroundings. It places a very high importance on the surroundings, being aware of the surroundings, hearing and seeing and smelling everything that's going on, and being focused on the now and on the what is. So people who have a very high extroverted sensing, they're very now focused. They're very in the moment. They live in the moment. They're not necessarily future focused. I can tell you as an ISFP, and these are the things I'm going to get into much more when I get into the videos about how the ISFP functions specifically. But ISFPs and high SE users in general are very focused on the now, not as focused on the future, and not so much focused on the past either. They're very live in the now, live in the moment, experience everything that there is to experience. Seek out new experiences, new things to see, new things to smell, new things to taste, everything along those lines. That's extroverted sensing. Now, introverted sensing, on the other hand, and this one's a little harder for me to explain, and I think partially because it is, it would be my sixth function, my critic function. For those people who believe that we only have 4 functions, or that really only our first 4 functions matter, then for me, SI would be irrelevant. Introverted sensing would be effectively irrelevant. Introverted sensing is more past focused. Introverted sensing is constantly taking in whatever it experiences it and whatever experiences it has, and then cataloging them away to pull up in future situations so that the user knows what to do. Introverted sensing is organizing information internally, taking in information and then organizing it, cataloging it, keeping track of it, and sort of using it as a base of operation for future experiences. People with high SI are very past focused. They tend to be much more traditional, or they place a higher value on traditions. Many of them. I'm not saying that this is a universal, but I think it's pretty universal. Obviously, our human nurture, how we're raised and whatnot affects this, but the introverted sensing function focuses a lot on past experiences. So it's looking at what has happened before, and a lot of times it's logging that away and saying, okay, this is good. Traditions are good. Introverted sensing tends to produce in a person a higher sense of honor and duty. Causes a person to be much more concerned about what they should do, or what they're supposed to do, what they ought to do, what other people, sort of the demands that are placed upon them by others. Introverted sensing is, it tends, for people who have high introverted sensing, depending on exactly where it shows up in their function stack, it can tend to cause people to be a little bit cautious and sort of wade in slowly to new experiences. Not that they don't like new experiences, and not that they're not needing new experiences, because they need that to log that away for future use, but they tend to be a little bit more cautious. I know I can tell you I have some people in my family who have introverted sensing a little higher in their function stack than I do, and they tend to be a little bit more nervous and cautious about going into new places, especially if they don't have someone with them that has been there before. They don't have that memory logged away. They don't have that experience logged away for them to recall and say, okay, when I go into this new place or do this new thing, I know what's going to happen. I know what I'm going to experience, so on and so forth. So introverted sensing, it's an introverted function, so it's inward focused, all right? So it's just sort of taking all of the experiences that it gets in life, and then it's almost cataloging them away so that they can recall for future use whenever they face similar situations to something that they've experienced in the past. Now, for any of you who are watching this and you understand introverted sensing better than I do, please, by all means, comment below. Let me know what you think. Tell me where you agree that my analysis of introverted sensing is correct, and tell me where it's wrong. And yes, to some extent, it's a conglomeration of things I've heard other people teach. And to some extent, I'm basing my understanding on experiences of people that I know who have introverted sensing very high. I have an ISFJ family member who's very much about family and tradition and the past. And I've heard this person say on more than one occasion, well, that's not the way that it's always been done. That's not the way you were taught to do it. I have another person who has introverted sensing as her parent function, a person who's close in my family who has it as her parent function or her second or auxiliary function. And she's very, duty driven and honor driven. And this is the right way to do things. And I don't say that critiquingly, or I'm not trying to be critical in any way. I'm just saying this is what I've observed. And then others who have it as their child function, I noticed that they're the ones who, by the way, seem to be much more concerned or nervous when they go into places they've never been, or they're around people that they've never been around before. And so this is some of what I see, how I see introverted sensing coming out in different people. Okay. So we have the extroverted sensing, which is very now focused, and it's, give me experiences. I want to see everything that I can see. I want to hear everything that I can hear. I want to really experience the world. And by the way, that can vary exactly how that looks in a extroverted sensing hero function versus an extroverted sensing parent or auxiliary function, even all the way down to a third function, a child function. And then you have that introverted sensing that's much more about, tradition, honor, duty, logging away the past, using it as recall to bring comfort in the future. It's very comfort focused and very duty and honor focused. So those are really the differences between extroverted sensing and introverted sensing. Now, something I haven't said yet in any of my videos, I'm going to say here, and then I'm going to try to remember to work it in more until I actually do a video solely on it. All of these functions, regardless of which function I'm talking about, they're focused on the same thing, regardless of the user. Okay, so introverted thinking is always focused on determining the truthfulness or the falseness, the correctness or the error of something, and it's always doing it through internal processes. Okay, that is always the case for introverted thinking. Or extroverted sensing is always focused on experiencing the here and the now and everything around it and being aware of what's going on around it. That's always the case for extroverted sensing. That's what extroverted sensing is always about. But it comes out much differently, or it looks much differently, or it plays a more significant or less significant role in a person's thinking and in the way they live, depending on whether it is their parent function or their hero function or their inferior function, or maybe it's all the way down in their blind spot, or as socionics calls it, their polar function, their point of least resistance function. You're going to see that come out much differently in different people. All right. So keep in mind, like, I'm an ISFP. Extroverted sensing is my auxiliary or parent function. So extroverted sensing looks different in me than it does in my ESFP daughter, who has extroverted sensing as her hero function. And much different than it does in my INTP daughter, who has extroverted sensing as her blind spot or her polar function, okay, which you could think of as their worst function. All right, so these things vary dramatically. The function is always focused on the same thing, but in different personality types, depending on what role that function plays in their brain, it's going to look way different. Anyway, this video went longer than I meant, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to keep these videos at 10 minutes or below, but I failed. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate you very much. Have an awesome day. Bye now.